Welcome back to the garage, guys. I'm Damien and this is the Binder Builder. On today's video, we're going to be spending a lot of time in the front of the bug. Now, although this is geared towards a bug and what I'm going to do to help seal and prep the front end for the suspension as well as future interior mods, this stuff that I'm going to be doing can be used cross-platform, whether you're building a Scout, a Bug, a Jeep, a buggy, whatever. I'm going to attempt to seal up all the big holes in the bulkhead as well as the footwells to help keep my interior as dust-free, noise-free, smell-free as possible. So part of that means sealing the large holes that are going to be left behind. Now, as you guys know, I'm not going to be using the stock wiring at all. And so those who are familiar with the Bug chassis, there is a rather large hole for the wiring as well as the fuse block and things of that nature. I'm just going to show you how I went about sealing that up and making sure that that's not going to allow unwanted dust, noise, and smells into the cab while I'm driving it. Now, unfortunately, I didn't film the removal of the original Baja kit. There was basically four main pieces. You had the two fenders, which basically unbolted, the hood, which unbolted, and then the last piece was a little nose cone, if you will, and that, while it was glued into place, it came off extremely easily. But here's what's left over. This, as you can see, this is pre-cleanup of the interior, but regardless, the first thing that come out was the stock fuel tank, as well as most of the stock wiring that's up behind the dash. And you can see that that was there initially, now it's gone. Then I took a Sawzall and just basically cut the nose off as close to the bulkheads as I dared. I could just take big pieces off with the Sawzall. From there, I took a cutoff wheel to it, first slicing off big sections. And then carving out little sections a little more delicately. After all the cutting I'm doing, I took my gloves off and sure enough, got a little too close and gouged myself. Oops. Nevertheless, the work must go on. While hammering, I noticed I needed to trim some little areas that will allow me to fold it on itself again a little easier. The little hammer I started with wasn't doing the trick, so I got my framing hammer out, and that seemed to get things moving. The end result is a pretty flush fold over, and I'll be welding this up and sealing it later. Time for the other side. Again, large pieces first, then cut smaller pieces until I get close to the footwell. For some reason, the driver's side seemed a lot harder to fold over with the hammer. Probably noticed this bulkhead and the footwell is pretty dirty from years and years of dirt, grime, and paint and things of that nature. So I broke out my other angle grinder with a wire wheel and just started going at it. After everything was pretty much removed, I went ahead and got some acetone out and just kind of poured it on and rubbed it around and eventually cleaned all of the goo off. Rust-Oleum self-etching primer was the first coat of paint following the wire wheel. I followed that up with some paintable undercoating. I realize that I'm painting before all the prep work is done. I know this might be a mistake and so forth, but I don't know, I just like the look of the finish of a nice fresh coat of paint and things of that nature, so forgive me, I like having it nice and clean. After that, I removed the painter's tape and started welding up the seams. I used my flapper wheel and cleaned up the welds. Followed by some self-etching primer. Now to plug the big holes in the bulkhead, I went ahead and got some sheet metal and made plugs for the openings I was going to seal up. To do that, I just made a quick template, cut out the metal to fit, and then used a magnet to hold the piece in place from the inside while I welded it up from the outside. And then I used some 3M automotive seam sealer to make sure all the nooks and crannies were filled and sealed. Every seam and every hole that I wasn't going to use got sealed up. After the seam sealer cured up, and since it's paintable, I covered everything with yet another coat of undercoating. Anyway guys, that is how I went ahead and sealed up the front of my bug body to protect the interior from smells, dirt, all that other stuff that might come through the factory holes once you remove everything. The same process can be used on anything, whether it's a buggy, a Scout, a truck, anything you're working on. I realized I did nothing to address the dash area. There's some pretty monster holes for the dash and the stereo and things of that nature. I'll go ahead and seal those up later after I get the gauges in and have the dash modified for all my switch panels, things of that nature. While this seals the outside and helps stop things from coming into the interior, I'll also be using in the future video, after I get all the cage work and everything worked out, I'll be using a hush mat, actually a rock mat, which is basically a 2-layer sound deadening material on the inside just to be able to further keep the noise, keep the sounds out and the sounds of the stereo and so forth, and being able to talk to each other while I'm driving in. Either way, the front bulkhead is pretty good and pretty sealed up for my taste. I'm pretty happy with the way it came out. But that's all I have for you in this video. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the content. Please like and subscribe and all that other YouTube stuff. And I will see you guys on the next one. My name is Damien, and this is The Binder Builder.